Good morning. Today I'm going to walk you through a slow hip mobility flow. Just work on some hip stretching, some hip openers, just generally moving those hips around, loosening them up. Let's begin in a tabletop position. Shoulders over your wrists, hips over your knees. And we'll start with a few rounds of cat-cow. Inhale into cow, arch your spine towards the floor, bring the crown of your head towards the ceiling. Inhale. And exhale, arch your spine towards the ceiling. Bring your gaze towards your thighs. Push into your hands. Think about pushing your shoulders out of their sockets. Exhale. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Maybe start moving in circles slowly around the wrists, circling your hips around your knees. And then pause and maybe just move your hips through some figure eights or some circles. You move through the neck a little bit at the same time if that feels nice. And then bring your right foot out to the side, bottom of your foot down on the floor, and sit back towards your heels. Reach your arms out in front of you. Maybe bring your forehead to the mat. And think about sitting back with each exhale and crawling your hands a little bit further forward, feeling the stretch through the inner thigh. Deep inhale and exhale. Deep inhale and exhale. When you feel complete, come back up. Bring your hands back under your shoulders. Bring your right leg back in. And let's repeat on the left. Your left foot out, bottom of the foot to the floor. And sit back. Reach your hands out. Crawl your hands a little bit more forward. Think about sitting your butt a little bit closer to your heel. Deep inhale and exhale. Deep inhale and exhale. Once you feel complete, come back up. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Bring your knee back in. And next, bring your knees out wide to the width of the mat, maybe even wider. Going into a wide-kneed child's pose, you're going to sit back towards your heels and bring your hands forward again, forehead down to the mat if that feels nice. Deep inhale and exhale. Deep inhale and exhale. Feeling the stretch through the inner thighs. Inhale and exhale. When you feel complete, come back up to tabletop. Tuck your toes, push into your hands, and lift your hips up into downward facing dog. Your first one of the day potentially, so don't go too crazy. Think about bending one knee, straightening the other, and then switching. Maybe lift up onto your toes and then gently drop the heels, feeling out the hamstrings and the calves. Push your chest a little bit closer to your thighs. Get a little bit of a shoulder stretch in if that feels nice. Inhale, lift your right foot to the ceiling. Bend the knee and do some hip circles. Continue for as long as you like. Maybe open up the right hip a little bit and push your right heel towards the left side of your body. Opening up that right hip. And exhale, bring it down. Repeat on the left side. Lift the left leg up. Bend the knee. Get some hip circles in there. And then open up the left hip. Bring the left foot to the right side of the body. Deep inhale and exhale. And when you feel complete, bring the left foot back down. Inhale, the right leg back up. Exhale, bring your knee in towards your nose and step through. Lower the left knee. Keep your hips in under your rib cage and push them forward. Think about tucking your pelvis in and under, and that'll really accentuate the stretch through the left hip. Deep inhale and exhale. Push a little bit more into it, feeling it through your psoas. Deep inhale and exhale. When you feel complete, bring your hands to frame your right foot. Step back and then push back into downward facing dog. Deep inhale, lift your left leg, and exhale. Bring your knee in towards your nose, step through, bring your right knee down. And then again, push your hips in and under, without tilting your pelvis forward. Pushing into the right hip, feeling the stretch the front of the right hip, that psoas muscle. Deep inhale. And exhale, push into it a little bit more. You really want to think about pushing your hips forward instead of bending more into the left knee. Keep the left knee at a 90-degree bend, push your hips forward. It's really going to get you the best stretch. Deep inhale and exhale. Try to keep your hips square towards the front of the mat. Deep inhale and exhale. And when you feel complete, bring your hands back down, step back, and push back into downward facing dog. Inhale, bring your right leg up. Exhale, bring your right foot to the outside of your right hand, and then lower your left knee again. Now we're in lizard. You can stay here if this is enough on the inside of the right leg and the hip, or you can open up your foot coming onto the outside edge, and then again breathe into it, pushing down into the foot to feel the stretch through the right hip. If this feels like enough, stay up on your hands. Otherwise, you can also bring your forearms down to a block or the mat. Sometimes I like to bring my forehead to a block here too. Deep inhale and exhale. Deep inhale and exhale. Feel free to stay here, or you can come back up onto your hands, bend the left leg, and grab the right foot. You can also use a strap or a towel to wrap it around your foot and grab onto that if you can't reach. And then gently pull the left foot towards your glute, and you'll feel the stretch in the left hip. And stay up on your hand, or bring your left hand down, left forearm down to a block or the mat. Then simultaneously push into the right foot and think about pushing your left hip forward. Deep inhale and exhale. Deep inhale and exhale. When you feel complete, bring your hands back down in front of you, lower your left foot. And then we're going into pigeon. Walk your right foot towards the left side of the mat. And then bring your right knee down. You want to try to keep your hips square towards the front and eventually have your shin parallel to the mat, to the front of the mat. But if that feels like a lot, feel free to bend the right leg in, bringing your right foot towards your left hip. And when you find a comfortable spot, you can even bring a block right here. Bring the floor a little closer to you. Keep a nice flat back. Keep your hips square. And gently walk your hands out in front of you as much as feels comfortable through the right hip. And try to think about bringing your chest and forehead down towards the mat, keeping a nice flat back, not rounding the spine. Deep inhale and exhale. Deep inhale and exhale. When you feel complete, walk back up. Put your weight into your hands, tuck your left toe, and then just step your right foot back into downward facing dog. Inhale, reach your left leg up. Exhale, step it to the outside of your left hand. Lower your right knee for lizard pose. If that feels like enough, through the inside of the left leg and hip, stay there. Otherwise, you can bring your foot out onto the pinky side edge and push in to the left foot to get a nice stretch. Your hips square towards the front of the mat. Stay up on your hands, or you can bring your forearms to some blocks or the floor. Deep inhale and exhale. Deep inhale and exhale. Stay here for as many breath cycles as you like, or come back up to your hands, bend your right leg in, and then grab onto the outside of the foot and pull the foot towards your glute. Again, if you bring a strap around the back of your foot or a towel, you can use that to help you pull your foot in. Keep your hips square towards the front of the mat, pushing your hips forward, and then stay up on your hand or walk your forearm down to a block or the mat. Deep inhale and exhale. Deep inhale and exhale. As many breath cycles as you like. When you feel complete, let go of the foot, walk your hands back up, and then walk your left foot towards the right side of the mat for pigeon pose. Keep your hips square to the front of the mat. Your goal is to have your shin parallel to the front of the mat. But if that feels very intense on your hip, bring your left foot closer to your right hip. Feel free to bring a block under the left hip to bring the floor closer. And when you feel comfortable, walk your hands out in front of you, leading with the chest. And then bring your forehead down to the mat. You can always stay up here, or even up here, wherever you feel the best stretch for the left hip. Deep inhales and exhales for as many rounds as you feel. Bring your hands back under your shoulders. Tuck your toe, step your left foot back, and come into downward facing dog. Hope you enjoyed.